Episode 2, Part 2. I'm so tired. Okay. Where's the video? I love marching band. Oh, so nice. He fell in love with marching band in 7th grade. Never really wanted to tell anybody because he felt like he was going to be looked at like the band nerd or whatever. He came to Oak Park and the marching band, fell in love with it, felt like he could be himself, felt like he was in the right place, felt accepted by everybody in the band. From this section. Examples that back up his contention were that just like the visuals I feel like in the video of him like dancing around in the group of a bunch of kids like on the football field practicing, and then also like in the bus he was like yelling like really loud like a song, like singing really loud a song, having a good time with everybody. He also told about how his dad gave him a pair of drumsticks when he was little, and he got some of his mom's bowls out of the cabinet and started hitting them, like playing them, and they broke or shattered or whatever. So he knew that he wanted to be in marching band or just some sort of band, and so he found it, and that's like his place, his happy place, the right place for him. I think that I will consider like just making everyone feel welcome, like include multiple hobbies in our lessons, like include multiple interests in our lessons, like teach in different ways so that people all like feel like they are being accepted in their way of learning or in their way of doing things. Encouraging kids to like follow their dreams, what they want to do, despite what people think that they can do or should or shouldn't do or can't do or whatever. And so I think that that's what I'll do to make students feel comfortable as if they're in the right like they're in the right place. Or like how he like goes to tell them you could start a secret as another example. So I don't know who Biggie Smalls is, but he sounds like he is. I'm gonna look up just to make sure, but he sounds like he's like a race rapper. Yeah, American rapper. He's black, and I'm assuming he raps about like, uh, the, yeah. He seems like he raps about like his culture, like the black culture, I guess. And that's why he, like, they know the, what's his name, Kendall is appealed to him because he's a race rapper. And yeah. So he says that, okay, so number 17, how important does it seem to Kendall to be able to talk about race and rap? It seems like it's very important to him. He says that he doesn't like how he can't really talk about it with his white friends. He loves his white friends, but he just feels like he can't talk about it with them because they don't understand and they aren't from the same culture or background or race. And with his band friends, he like has a good time and everything, but he can't connect with them on the same kind of things that he can connect with his wrestling friends on because of their race. So he has a good time with both of them, and he really loves both of them as friends, and he enjoys being around both of them. But he can only talk about certain things with each of them. Like, he's not gonna go talk about like the white things that he was kind of talking about, like marching band with his wrestling friends. He's not gonna go talk about like race and rap with his white friends, his marching band friends. Can they also understand? So, okay, talk about race. I think race is something that doesn't matter. That's about it. Literally doesn't matter. Um, it should. It does. I think in our society, it matters to our society, but it shouldn't. I think we should all just be one human race. I think culture matters and should matter a lot. But just because like somebody could be black but be very like, but could be adopted by a white family and be very American, have a very American like, or not American. That's stupid. I'm sorry. Have a very white culture, or like be like somebody could be black and adopted into an Italian family and be very strong into an Italian culture, and that's the culture they identify with. So I really don't think race matters. It shouldn't. It's stupid. Like, I think that like culture matters, and culture does it usually respond corresponds with race, but it doesn't have to, and it doesn't always. Um, yeah, race is stupid. Like, it's not stupid, but I think it shouldn't matter. I think we should all just be one human race. I feel like it should go from species to culture, not like species broken down to race, broken down to culture. I feel like it should just be like species broken down into cultures. Because I think culture is so important and like is a huge deal and like stuff. But I think race like literally doesn't matter, and it does in our society's eyes, and it shouldn't. Yeah. What do I think about rap? I love rap. I think that the message in a lot of rap, like popular rap these days that you hear on the radio and like streaming apps and stuff, I hate the messages displays. I think it displays a lot of disgusting messages, but I like in general. But I also think that a lot of a lot of the popular rap now that doesn't display a disgusting message, um, displays like a good message about like hard work. Like I think two common themes in rap are like sex, drugs, alcohol, all those things that should not be in music, I don't think, that are kind of just gross and everything. And then I think that there's also another common theme of rap these days is like hard work and like making it to the top, like starting from the bottom, making it to the top. As a genre, like take out the politics and stuff behind it, I love rap music. Honestly, it's weird. I love country music and I love rap music. Are my two favorite. I don't listen to it a lot again just because there's not that much out there that I feel like displays a good message, and I'm really big about that. But I love the like beat to it. I love like how it's usually very deep and intense and has some sort of meaning, whether that's a good or a bad one. It usually does have some carry a lot of meaning in the words, and there are a lot of words to hold a lot of meaning. Yeah, I love rap. I love rap as a type of music. I don't love the message that it displays, oftentimes more than not these days. It seems like, but I think that there's like, I mean, I think Christian rap's kind of weird, honestly. Like I'm super big into Christianity, but Christian rap's a little weird. But I also just I think my favorite type of rap is like the rap that's like being confident, being proud in how far you've come, and like starting from the bottom and making it to the top by hard work. Like I think that's a very, very common theme in rap anymore. Also, I'm a kind of person like if you're cursing or using swear words against somebody or at someone, I don't think that's okay. Unless like maybe you're just joking around with your friends, like I think that's a little different. But I think that it can be disrespectful if you're using it at or against someone. But in general, I don't really have a problem with swearing, and I know that like some people do, but it's honestly just a word, and like I think that a lot of times it can help you express a level of emotion that you couldn't otherwise, verbally at least, and I think that's important, and I think that people have the right to do that in the right circumstances, and I think that in music, like you don't have to listen to music with curse words, and they make a clean version of a lot of explicit songs these days, which is nice for the people who want the alternative option. But I do think that a lot of rap music has a lot of swearing in it. And obviously, again, if it's at someone or against someone, then I don't think that's respectful, and I think that's kind of just gross and not very classy. But I mean, I guess neither is cussing in general. But I do think that rap music is able to display a whole nother level of emotion that any other music can't. And I think that like if you throw a curse word into the middle of like a hip hop song, it sounds a little more out of place. But if you put it in rap, just traditionally rap does have a lot of like more explicit language. But I think that that kind of emphasizes the emotion that the people are feeling if they're using it in a respectful way, like not at anyone or anything like I already said. So I think that yeah, I love rap music. I don't love the message it displays a lot of times, but when it has a good message, I love rap music, and I think that it's super intense. And you can fit a lot of meaning into one song because there's so many words in it close together. Describe what the coach mentioned about Kendall as a wrestler on the team. He says that like he wants to, like he pushes him hard and stuff, and when he's at practice, he gives it all his all. He works his butt off and everything. But he wants to get down to the 195 weight class to have the best chance to start and to be on the varsity team, especially as a starter. But he doesn't. He said, he doesn't know if he has the discipline to be able to do it or not. Number 21, talk about Kendall's motivation. Kendall seems motivated like when he wants to be, but when he's not, he seems like he could be like lazy maybe, and not really like care. So like I feel like when he cares, he's very motivated, and like is a people pleaser. He seems like, so when he's there, like he will show up and he will show up well, but when it's like when he's behind the scenes and there's not somebody holding him accountable, will he hold himself accountable? It doesn't is what it seems like is his problem.
Well, we digress. All right. This was a, I think, an important educational conversation. We will have a little bit of time
Okay, so Tatum, Sabrina, and Kiara in class just seem to talk and they click, as they say, but they are talking about things that have nothing to do with what's the task at hand. And they're talking about it at the wrong time in the wrong place. And it shows them literally hanging out outside of school, so it's not like they can't go talk about that stuff later on, or in the halls or whatever, at a different time and different place. The teacher literally just sat there and didn't do anything. I would not allow that to happen. I do think that there's something to be said about how he didn't do anything because, like, which I think the only positive about that is that they're gonna learn that, like, if they're not gonna work hard in class, they're not gonna do well, and if they aren't working hard in class but they're still somehow doing well, then it's probably because they're working hard at home. And as long as they're getting a good grade, they're getting a good grade. However, I do think that like they're gonna carry that over to other classes and think that that's okay. And so I think that he should. He didn't literally did nothing. Like he was literally sitting there looking over their shoulder at the pictures of the heels that they're showing each other for homecoming. Like, and I think that that's kind of ridiculous. Like, do your job, dude. But that's my. So Kiara says about the relationship between Tatum and her sister versus her sister or her mom or whatever. I guess not her mom, it's her sister, but that's what the question says. But I think that I think that she says that Kiara says that her sister acts more like her mom, whereas Tatum's sister acts more like her sister, not her mom. Okay. Okay. Does kind of reading levels are they dealing? So they're in their most intensive reading program. They're dealing with second and third grade level readers in high school, which is a teacher mentioned as some of the reasons students. They come out of middle school and they don't retain. They weren't taught well, or they didn't pay attention and weren't held to high standards to retain the information or even like learn the information of how to read correctly. So then they get to high school and it just builds up and they're learning more complicated words, like as they get older. And but they can't even get the basic words down because they don't know how to read correctly or they weren't really taught how to read well, and so like they didn't maintain it and or they just weren't really taught in a like effective way.
Kevin? Oh,
Language ownership. True. Okay, so assistant principal Holland says that rather than playing, like what do teachers need to do? Teachers need to have ownership. Teachers need to be proud of the work they're doing with the students and their success or lack of success. They need to be able to be proud of that. And obviously, they're not going to be proud of their students that are failing and not succeeding and not holding the information that they need or like getting like and understanding the necessary tools in order to succeed later on in future grades. So the teachers need to stop blaming and there's she said something about blaming versus ownership and ownership is important. She thinks teachers need to do more of that. Does the reading leader say is necessary? They said that they need to like be patient with them and they need to like care about them like outside of the walls, as they said in the video. Um, in chapter 6 it talks about like effective teaching and stuff is like the main point of the chapter. And like effective teaching again, it just goes to show that like if a teacher's not going to do more than just say information and lecture at the students, then they're not going to be effective. And like they need to be there like as like moral support as well and like emotional support and everything to the students as much as they can be so that they can succeed intellectually. Um, how does that relate to the need for future teachers to really learn a lot in their gens, especially the one learning about people such as psychology? So I think that those are really important. I'm actually getting my associates in psychology this semester, which is kind of cool to like read this question and like be like, oh yeah, I'm doing that. And I can't tell you how many questions I've answered from these videos, just like using like psychological concepts or theories or ideas that I learned in psychology classes. And like I wish everybody had to have an associate's at least in psychology in order to be a teacher because if I didn't know any of the if I didn't know any of the psychology stuff that I did, and I didn't take so many classes over the past couple years for it, I would be half the teacher that I am, like that I want to be someday. Like I would be like so far much more far behind than I am now, because I think that in order to be a good teacher, you have to really understand how the mind works. Because if you're the mind is what you're teaching, and if you don't understand how it works, then how are you supposed to teach it well? And it doesn't work the same for everyone. It works different for so many different types of people. there's so many different types of ways of learning and ways that the mind can take that information and retain it and use it, and it's not just a blanket thing. So I feel like there needs to be so much more psychology added to the curriculum for teaching, for at least from my experience, because I haven't taken like in my education classes there hasn't really been much about psychology, like enough, I don't think, because it's such an important thing. You're teaching minds, so you have to understand the mind in order to be able to teach it to the best of your ability. Hard yet.
Mindset.
So he says that by adding yet to the end of a negative statement, it turns it into like a negative statement, from a negative statement into like a growth statement, or like a statement that's like gives hope for the future. Like, I don't have a 3.8 GPA this semester yet. Like that, just leaving it after I don't have a three, just ending it after I don't have a 3.8 GPA this semester. That's just like, oh, okay. Like, there's nothing to do about that. It's just the end of the sentence, and it's a negative thing because like that's something that people want, obviously. But if you say yet, it like shows like a growth mindset, which is another psychological term actually. It's growth mindset, for and like being motivated to get that someday, and it changes your mindset into a growth mindset, which will then turn into more hard work, which turns into more success and accomplishments. Teachers are trying to accomplish with that, just like to get their students to have a growth mindset, like I just said. What did I do? What did I tell you about teachers? Hold on, let me. So, what do they do in this in this video? They like put accomplishments up on the wall, which is kind of what I was talking about a few questions ago, actually, about like what the school's role is. I guess it's the teacher's role too. But they like advertising and making it very public and out there, the successes and the accomplishments of their students, so that they can be proud of themselves, and so other people like they can get the recognition that they wouldn't be getting if they just got the A and looked at their like grades online and they're like, oh, I got an A. Like, but nobody's like proud of them. Nobody's celebrating with them. And by celebrating their successes very publicly, it's like they're getting the attention that they want. And like, do the other students really care about the other things that aren't their own on the board? Probably not, honestly. But by getting it up there, it's like some sort of like reward, or like realization that like, oh, I did it. Like, I did enough good enough to get it on the board, so like I'm doing well. Like, and then it makes them want to keep it up. What does it tell you about the teachers? The teachers, I think, are working really hard to encourage that growth mindset and that success, or like those accomplishments and like the drive to like reach those accomplishments. What does it tell you about the students? The students, it shows that there's a lot of things on that board. So it shows that the students, they like the recognition, they like the like being celebrated for their successes and being acknowledged, rather than just like, oh, I got an A, cool, good job. Like, maybe tell a friend or their parent or something, like that's it. I think that's really important. I think that it's so super important to celebrate the successes, but I also think that our society tends to overdo it sometimes with that. Like, I think that we need to acknowledge the failures, almost as much as we acknowledge the successes, so that the students have a realistic mindset. Like, I did mess up, like kind of like the growth mindset. So, like, so if you just tell them all the time that they're doing well, they're not going to have a growth mindset because they're going to think that they're already like self-actualized and there's no more room for growth. So I think that it's really important to acknowledge the failures so that they know that there's room for growth, but also acknowledge the successes and the accomplishments so that they know that they're capable of that growth and that they are growing and their hard work is paying off. So a couple of my own statements. I am not a teacher yet. I have not started working out during quarantine yet. I have not eaten healthy during quarantine yet. I have. Does that have to be about teaching? I don't have an A in this class yet, but I have yet to take the final. Woo, and turn these in. What is voice into concepts? Students' minds definitely. Oh my gosh, I suck at poetry. Okay, so number 28. The voice in many students' minds is the I suck at poetry thing because he's like a English or like a poetry or writing teacher of some sort. So like kind of just that voice in your mind like telling you that you suck at something, and then if you have that mindset, it's gonna like you're gonna suck at it. Like if you don't have a growth mindset and you just are sitting there thinking I suck at poetry or I am not good at poetry, you need to add the yet to the end of that. I am not good at poetry yet, so that you have that positive mindset. I definitely have that in my mind throughout school. The things that I have that in my mind about though that I don't have a growth mindset about are like the classes that like don't really matter as much. I know that like we are just talking about genetics, but like astronomy, I don't need to know anything about astronomy, okay? Like that I don't already know from common sense. And it's frustrating. But yeah, like I'm taking an astronomy class, I hate it. It's the worst. I don't really care about it. I tried to care about it, I don't. And I suck at astronomy. So I definitely have that thing in that voice in my head. But I think that growth mindset is really important. And I think that I do have that growth mindset for the classes and the things that are like most important and that I will need more in the future. Not that that's much of an excuse that I don't have it for the other ones, but I think that I have it for the ones that I definitely need it for, that growth mindset, but I think that I also should have it for the ones that I don't need it for, just to be able to like self-actualize, you know? Okay. I was a spoken word coach. So it says, okay, what did they do in the classroom? What are their goals? They go into each English classroom like once a week or like something like that, and they do like a spoken words thing. And they force them to write poetry. Their goals are to help them psychologically and also physically. Build G's move in silence like lasagna. Who said that in a song? What's clever about that line? Lil Wayne said the lasagna line for number 30. Oh, what's clever about it is that the G in lasagna is silent. That's cool. Who's Iman Shumpert? The most famous spoken word club alumnus is what they said is that's who Iman Shumpert is. What was he saying in his poem that won him second in the All Junior Slam? So he's saying in his poem. His poem is talking about like growing as a basketball player, and that's what got him second in the Junior Slam. He also kind of raps about like a growth mindset about like living up to his last accomplishment, his last good game, and like doing better every time.